This video is going to serve as the final video in part 3 of the utility shed design guide, and we're looking at finishing up the drawing. So we've just finished our section view, and we are going to add this to our drawing. Maybe have to make some adjustments, but we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to go and move down to, in my project browser, double click on the green utility shed drawing. I am going to move the 3D view over and prepare for, and I might want to move the elevation, east elevation, over a little bit as well, and just to go ahead and make some changes here. So we want this to be nice and neat and be able to easily be seen and easily be read. So as we take a look here, again, we are just going through and kind of prepping this. Let me extend this line on the 3D view. We are going to take a look at section 1. I'm going to rename this to be wall section. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag this over, and then we're going to be able to place this right here on our drawing. So I'm going to click to place the view. Here is our drawing view. It looks pretty good, really, other than we may need to make a few adjustments. That way these guys down here are not overlapping or anything like that. And but overall, so like here, I can double click on this view. I may want to go through, one easy way is to show the crop region. And I may just bring this in a little bit on the crop region. Hide the crop region, right click, deactivate the view. So you have to deactivate the view in order to make sure that you can move that later. Let me see if I can move this guy over just a little bit. And that's actually looking pretty good. So I may see if I can get this crop region a little bit closer. If you can't go through and get the crop region by itself, when you activate the view, you can actually grab these lines and kind of do the same thing there and kind of shorten them. I know these lines are kind of, these elevation lines are kind of getting in the way. So kind of keeping me from doing that. So let me hide the crop region, deactivate the view. Let me drag this over a little bit. I always tell my students the big thing is with detail. Detail is always a big thing to never skimp on. So, and that one there looks like it's going to be pretty good. So let me go ahead and kind of center that between the open space that we have. And try not to make sure that I'm not running into my border. All right, so this view is looking pretty good. So let me go ahead and zoom to fit. And one thing that we may want to do is to take a look at is like here. I'm gonna double click and activate the view. I'm gonna kind of drag this dimension out a little bit, and then that way the section view is not running, you know, the section view indicator is not running through that dimension. But other than that, this drawing is looking pretty good. So everything fit real well, and that's kind of the thing that you have to look at, is just kind of editing and kind of getting this all to fit. The big thing I try to tell students, is it clear? Is there anything being covered up? Is there anything that's not, you know, like here, even then, I'm not really liking how close that is to the border. So I want that to be a little bit more clear, and I think we got enough room on the drawing. I can kind of go through and make that happen. So, and I'm going to kind of drag this down anyway, as such. So that's really where we're kind of at in this drawing, is just a little bit of tweaking and trying to get everything to fit. Is it clear? There's nothing running into each other, and that's the big thing that I try to make sure is that kids can kind of see, is that, you know, is it clear communication in what we're looking at. The last kind of detail that we really want to put on there is we want to take a look at this view down here. So I'm going to double click on it on the south elevation, and under the detailing, under the dimension panel, so there's a few different types that you can add, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at having a spot slope. So spot slope, if I click on it, One thing is that I'll see, it says a slope representation arrow or triangle. Let's change that to a triangle. And if you hover over a roof line, it'll actually give you the triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and actually first, so I'm going to say edit type. And the type that it's wanting to go through and have is it has slope. But if you go down here, it says units format. So if I select units format, I'm able to change what we have. So I want to go ahead and do rise to 12, say OK, and say OK. And now I'm going to end up seeing, so there's a 12 to 9, and pretty close to what I want it to be. But, you know, when a lot of pitches that you have for roof format, you just go through and say, you know, ratio to 12 a lot of times. So, and that's really kind of what you're dealing with. They really don't put in any inches. It's just kind of understood that we're working in feet. So now there's our 12 to 9. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to click. And when you do that, it's going to click and, you know, pick that surface, but it wants to know, do you want to put it to the inside or the outside? So I want to make sure I'm on the outside, left click to place it. And then I can go ahead and right click and say cancel. So now the little line that connects doesn't show up, but here's the other thing I can do is I can click and drag this triangle, make it a little bit smaller, which is going to, you know, make that look a little better. But that's our pitch indicator for this particular roof that we have. So a 9/12 pitch that we're working with. So that's really the final detail that we had to put in for the utility shed. So this will finish out the design, and I'm going to right click and say deactivate view to bring me back to the sheet. So that means this is ready to go. So we are all finished, and this is going to finish out the utility shed design part 3, and that means you have everything ready as far as Revit activity done for CEA core training.